Now we are getting into the band knowledge. Now band knowledge, we learn about all the instruments that are typically used to make popular music, which is the guitar, bass guitar, drums, vocals, and the keyboards and piano. We start with the drums. In this section, the following three questions refer to the labeled image of a drum kit on the right. Which letter corresponds to the hi-hat? So just to briefly give you an anatomy of the drum kit, really, this is the bass drum, this is called the floor tom, this is called the snare, this with the pedal is called the hi-hat. It has two cymbals, one on top of the other. This is the crash cymbal, this is the right cymbal, and this is pair of toms, the high tom and the low tom, and this is obviously the floor tom. So which letter corresponds to the hi-hat? A is the correct answer here. Which letter corresponds to the snare drum? That is the snare drum. The letter is B. Which letter corresponds to the bass drum? That big thing there is the bass drum, and that is the F. The following four statements below form the options for the three questions that follow. A. It is the largest drum in a standard drum kit. B. It consists of two cymbals mounted on a stand controlled by a foot pedal. C. In a standard kit, it is always positioned between the drummer's knees. D. It is a large floor-mounted drum positioned on the drummer's side. Which of the four statements describe the snare drum? The snare drum is the one which is this one, which is mounted between the drummer's knees. C is the correct answer for that. Which of the statements above best describe the bass drum? It is the largest drum in the standard drum kit, which is A. Which of the statement above describe the hi-hat? It is the two cymbals mounted on a stand controlled by a foot pedal, which is B. Here are some more questions based on the drum kit. The bass drum produces the lowest sound of any drum in the drum kit. That is absolutely true. The snare drum and bass drums are joined together. Not true. The hi-hat has a pedal at the bottom of the stand on which it is mounted. That is true. Now we come to the guitar. How many strings does a standard electric or acoustic guitar have? Now, the image on the top left you can see is an acoustic guitar, and the top right you can see is a bass guitar which has only 4 strings. The guitar has 6 strings. And how many strings does a standard bass guitar have? Standard guitar has 4 strings. So the next questions are about identifying these instruments on the right. So the question 3 is the instrument in the image on the right a guitar or a bass guitar? It's got a big round body, it's got 6 tuning pegs on the top. This is an acoustic guitar with a big sound hole in the middle. Next is the instrument in the image on the right a guitar or a bass guitar? I can see 4 tuning pegs to it and a longer neck. There's no sound hole because it's a solid body bass guitar. In this one, it is the instrument on the right a guitar or a bass guitar? This is again a guitar because although you can't see it, there are 6 tuning pegs. You can see these 6 tuning knobs here. And this is a hollow body electric guitar. This is also a guitar. Next, we get to the keys, which are there more on the piano keyboard, white keys or black keys, white keys. One set of keys is raised higher than the others. Which keys are raised? The black keys are higher than the white keys. In the diagram on the right, the key marked with an X, a white key or a black key on a piano keyboard, that is a white key for sure. Moving on, C is a white key on a piano keyboard. Yes. F sharp is a white key on a piano keyboard. No. B flat is a black key on a piano keyboard. Yes. Which of the following notes are white keys on a piano keyboard? A is a white key, B is a white key, C sharp is not, D is a white key, and E is a white key, F sharp is not. Which of the following notes are black keys on a piano keyboard? D is not, E is not, F sharp is, G is not, A is not, B is not. Going forward, we talk about the voice. The following 2 questions refer to the illustration on the right. In this case, I'll just put it on the top. Which letter points to the mouth? So there are 4 things highlighted here. This is the mouth, that's the A. Which letter points to the lungs? Which is D here. Going forward, singing needs control of airflow through the lungs. That's true. By changing the shape of the mouth, singers can change the sound they produce. True. The main function of lungs is to allow helium to enter the body. I would leave it up to you to guess that one. Which term is used to describe air being drawn into the lungs? That's when you inhale, you draw the air into the lungs. That's inhalation. Which term is used to describe air being forced out of the lungs? That's exhalation. Now we're talking about how to write for the drum kit. This clef is also known as the percussion cliff. The following 5 questions relate to the 1-bar extract of the drum notation given on the top, not on the right in this case. Which part of the drum kit is notated with an X-shaped note head? That is the hi-hat. On which beat does the snare drum play? That's the second beat. The note on the third space is a snare. On which beat is the first drum, a bass drum played? And the bass drum is in the first space, and that's beat 1. In which directions do the hi-hat stems go? They always go up. How many times is the hi-hat played? It is played in this case 4 quarter notes, which is 4 times. Going forward, more about drums. In the following 3 statements relate to the 1-bar extract given on the right. The hi-hat does not play on beat 3. That's false. The bass drum does not play on beat 3. That's true. The snare drum plays on beat 2 and 4. That is true as well. The snare drum is written on the third space, bass drum on the first space, and hi-hat is written just above the staff. This is relating to guitar and bass. Identify the correct statement below. In guitar notation, the notes are written at the pitch they sound. B. Guitar notation is written 1 octave higher than it sounds. C. Notes played on a guitar sound 1 octave higher than they are written. Correct statement is B. The guitar notation is written 1 octave higher than it sounds. That means if you read a middle C and you play the C, which is the 3rd fret on the 5th string on a guitar, you're actually sounding the C 1 octave below the middle C. This is true not just for the classical guitar, but for the acoustic guitar and electric guitar as well. Next, in the first half of the bar labeled A, is the guitar playing melody or is it playing chords? Melody, by definition, is arrangement of single notes arranged in a particular shape or form. That is a melody. So A is definitely a melody. In the second half of the bar labeled B, the guitar is playing melody or is it playing chords? There you can see there are 5 notes being sounded together. That is chords. The following questions relate to the 1-bar extract of bass guitar notation on the right. Which of the following statements most accurately describe the musical extract? The bass guitar is strumming chords. It cannot. The bass guitar starts playing a melody on beat 2. That is not exactly true. The bass guitar is playing single notes throughout. Oh yes, it is. This is relating to the keyboard. Which hand plays the notes on the upper staff labeled A? The right hand. Which hand plays the notes on the lower staff labeled B? The left hand. That's the bass clef. Which hand is playing the melody? The right hand is playing the melody. Which hand is playing the accompaniment? The left hand is playing the accompaniment in this case. Going forward, the following 4 statements relate to the 2-bar extract of piano and keyboard notation on the right. The right hand plays single notes throughout. True. The left hand plays single notes throughout. False, because they're both playing multiple notes together. The left hand plays chords. True. 2 notes are also chords. We'll talk about that a little later. The right hand plays the melody. That is true. For the vocals, the following 2 questions relate to the 2-bar extract of the vocal notation on the right. Is the music written for female or male voice? The music is written on a bass clef in this case, which is a lower range, which is a male range. So this is written for male range. For how many beats should the final note sound? The final note is a half note, which is for 2 counts, hence 2 is the correct answer here. The following 3 statements relate to the 2-bar extract of vocal notation on the right. The clef used is a treble clef. True. The first note is a half note and held for 2 beats. Not true. The last note is shorter than the first note. Last note is for two counts, it's a half note, and the first note is a quarter note, so that is false. Alto, tenor, soprano, and bass are the four main vocal groups. Put these vocal groups in order of their pitch range from lowest to the highest, lowest being counted as 1, highest numbered 4, by writing the appropriate number in each box. The lowest vocal range is bass, so that will be our first, followed by the tenor, then followed by the alto, and the highest sounding vocal range is soprano. True or false? Soprano and tenor are usually female ranges. That is false because soprano is female and tenor is male. Bass and tenors are usually male singers. Yes. Sopranos and altos are usually female singers. Yes, true. That brings us to the end of the band knowledge.